Still no sign of talk show host Jimmy Kimmel almost a week after his show on ABC went dark. Jimmy Kimmel Live was pulled off the air after the two largest ABC affiliate owners, Sinclair and Nexstar, said they would not continue to air the show. That, of course, was in response to a Jimmy Kimmel monologue where the host accused the MAGA gang of desperately trying to portray the shooter who killed Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of their own. That's the quote from Kimmel that created so much online furor. Now, there is work behind the scenes to bring Jimmy Kimmel back on air. Let's get to the latest in that saga. Brian Steinberg joins us, senior TV editor for Variety. Brian, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me again.
Lost in my intro there, I did not mention either the real or perceived pressure from the chairman of the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, Brendan Carr, perceived or real pressure from the Trump administration. What have you learned, Brian, in your reporting on the government aspect of this and the response, and if it led to Jimmy Kimmel being pulled off the air?
Well, it seems obvious that the commissioner's remarks triggered some different affiliate groups to raise their hand. Nexstar, which is one of the nation's largest owners of TV stations, before Disney announced its decision to pull Kimmel off the air, had come out with a statement saying we're going to preempt Kimmel going forward until this, he had come maybe apologize or come down off these comments about Kirk. So Nexstar is a force to reckon with, and so is Sinclair, another company that has also now announced it won't air Kimmel going forward. So these are business hurdles that Disney has to figure out.
So yeah, just on that side of things, right? Like if your estimation was this as a result of that online mob that was very vocal in the wake of that Kimmel monologue, is that behind the pressure from the affiliates, or more these affiliate groups responding to the Trump administration?
It feels like a response to Brendan Carr's comments, but they won't. I mean, they're not going to tell you that as much. But it feels like without that and the other, late night hosts have had a number of controversies over the past 20, 30 years, and usually they come back from it without this kind of degree of maneuvering. Was
there a moment where all of this could have been averted, where Jimmy Kimmel could have come back on air with an apology or some other type of statement that could have massaged this?
Well, it's our understanding he was prepared to come back on Wednesday and address the situation. Disney executives didn't feel it was the tone they wanted to set, so there's kind of an impasse.
And your reporting from over the weekend says that the conversations have continued between Kimmel and ABC. What are we learning about that? What has happened in the 5 days since?
Well, I think there's a genuine desire to have this show continue. This guy's been on ABC for more than 20 years. He's an ambassador for the network. He hosts game shows, does specials. He comes every year to New York and takes part in the ABC Upfront, which is the time when Disney speaks to as many advertisers. And it's not like a strange uncle. This is a direct and valued employee. I think there's a genuine desire to get the show back on the air, but the affiliate problem is one that is kind of thorny and needs to be worked out, certainly.
So that affiliate problem, how do you work that out? Like, what is the pathway to working out that side of things?
That is a great question. I guess it will depend on what the affiliates need to hear to get him back on the air. Also, they're also in violation of, if they do put Kimmel back on the air and they don't air it, they're in violation of an agreement. Could that cost the affiliates some money if by doing that? There are all kinds of different nuances to figure out. Could Disney put Kimmel on Hulu and Disney Plus and just have him air that way? But at the same time, they need the ratings that they get from distribution by the stations to get their ad money from advertisers. It's a very complicated thing to work out if you're a media company at this time of this period in the business. So,
Brian, one of the things that I think escapes many people here in Canada, right? Because we have networks too in Canada, but generally speaking, the network controls all of their affiliates. They own them and they operate them. Whereas in the U.S., right, these affiliates are independent from the network. Can you explain that structure and why affiliates have so much power in situations like this?
Yes, well, there's an ownership cap in the United States. You can't own more than 39%, or can't own stations that reach more than 39% of the populace. That's a very old rule. A lot of folks like to do away with it, given the reach of YouTube and the internet and all that kind of thing. So, most like Disney and CBS, they do own some of their own stations, usually in top markets. But the stations in smaller markets and around the nation, there are other owners. Sinclair, Tegna, Nexstar, First, a bunch of other companies own these affiliates. And they've got, in this era when you need the ratings, in a time when people stream so much, for them to block the showing of a certain show is a problem. It's hurting.
We're with Brian Steinberg, senior TV editor over at Variety. Brian, you've been on this show before, and we've talked about the general weakness in late night. It's not just about Jimmy Kimmel, other shows that have gone off the air over the last few years, and it seems like networks and others are leaving late night in general. Is any of this, the situation with Jimmy Kimmel, part of that overall weakness in late night?
Yes, I believe so. These shows are not as robust as they once were. Their audiences are smaller. There are more hosts talking to smaller fractions of the audience overall. Johnny Carson's model no longer runs rampant anymore. You have many hosts, many different shows. Most of these hosts, to get noticed, depend on political chatter, hot talk, more pointed barbs to get online chatter generated and viral pass along. Fallon is the one guy I think who doesn't do politics, and maybe that serves him in good stead over the longer haul. But, Colbert is going off the air in May. CBS already announced CBS is getting out of late night, saying they can't make it work anymore. So this is a weaker time. Now, it's a signature part of American television. It's a signature part of American culture. Could it still last? Could there be new models, new ways of doing it? Certainly, but the current shows seem to be under duress.
What do you think is the best argument here, or the things that are working for a return of the show? Where is the pressure to get the show back on the air, and maybe the best case scenario in your estimation?
Well, I think there's a wide swath of people who don't want to see the show canceled like this, canceled for political reasons, not because of viewership or economics, but because, the administration started throwing some weight around about a remark the guy made. Now, this is a nation where we value free speech and the First Amendment, so it seems like it's the wrong reason to push Jimmy Kimmel off the air. I suspect that if they were to do so, he'd find himself with a pulpit somewhere else very quickly. I think everyone's interest is, and I also think Disney faced an intensive backlash from the creative community and from First Amendment supporters and free speech advocates very quickly. If they don't find a way, Disney has no great place to go. They're not going to please everybody on this one.
As you've mentioned in your reporting, there's a big staff on this show, right? Like about 100 people work on the Jimmy Kimmel Live show.
More than that.
More, right? So, okay, and I'm sure Jimmy Kimmel doesn't want to see those people lose their job. How much do you think Jimmy Kimmel is willing to bend here? Apology or anything else to get his show back on ABC?
I've met Jimmy and interviewed him several times over the past 10 years. He's a genuinely decent person, it seems to me. He goes out of his way to help people out. He sends thank you notes and that kind of stuff. I suspect his staff does weigh on his mind. This is not someone who wants to just cast his staff out. These people have been through wildfires in California and other kinds of things, the pandemic. He's very cognizant, I'm told, of his staff and their economic needs and fortunes. I think he'd prefer not to send them out like this. I've been told he's probably close to the end and the beginning of his late night career. He's been on for 20 years. He's discussed openly his vision of kind of winding down at some point, but not like this. Not like this.
Have you heard if something will be announced in short order this week? Do you have any expectation on timeline?
That is the genuine question everyone is asking right now.
Brian, I guess.
I don't.
Yeah. So Brian, I guess we'll leave it there and we'll continue to monitor the situation. I want to thank you so much for coming on this morning.
Thanks for having me again. Appreciate it.
That's Brian Steinberg there, senior TV editor at Variety. And you can head to the Variety website to read Brian's reporting on the Kimmel situation.
I'm Dylan Playfair.
And I'm Tyler Smith.
We're putting loneliness in the penalty box by talking to some of our favorite athletes about the importance of friendship.
This is Bromance.
Bromance is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian-owned and operated. Charm has been part of your love stories and bromances for over 50 years.
And you can find Bromance on the iHeartRadio network or wherever you get your podcasts.